Lovelies. Today we are going to be discussing Crush by Tracy Wolff. If you didn't watch my video on the first book in this series called Crave, it is right here. I lost my mind over how good garbage the first book was. This book...
Wow.
Well, we're going to talk about it. So grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's just jump into this video. Roll the intro. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen my other videos about Crave, which was the first book in the series, right back there. But this is the second one in a trilogy, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to take the cover off of it because it's kind of putting glare on the screen. I don't like that. And it's a little bit dirty because I don't know why. It's got paw prints on it, so I'm going to blame my cat for walking on my books because he loves to walk on my books. Anyways, this is Crush by Tracy Wolff, and it centers around a girl named Grace, who previously her parents had just died, and she was sent to her uncle and her cousin, who basically run a school. Well, her cousin attends the school. Her uncle is the one that runs it. He's the principal. And she realizes that things are off. Really, the first, few minutes, she realizes that things are off with the school, but she can't put her finger quite on it. Later on down the line, this is spoilers, by the way. Spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled on the first book, go away. Alright. Now, she finds out that her school is full of supernatural beings, like vampires, dragons, werewolves, and she's just a human. So, of course, she has a target on her back, and she comes across this guy named Jackson Vega. He is a vampire prince. He is, the coolest guy at school. He's like an Edward Cullen type, Damon's, Stefan Salvatore type guy. So anyway, he and Grace kind of hit it off. Not in the beginning, but towards the end. They fall in love. And when they're on their way to school, they're on their way to one of their classes, Jackson's brother, Hudson, tries to attack Jackson, and Grace steps in front of him, and she realizes when she wakes up in this book that she is a gargoyle. And she has part of Hudson stuck in her when she wakes up. So, she can see him, but, nobody else can. It's weird. But that's not the part that made me really not want to finish this book. I was into it halfway through. I was halfway through it. And it just got to the point where there was too many things being added in, really too fast. As I mentioned before in, my previous videos about the first book, I was talking about how these books have so many elements of other books that I love. Let's say, Twilight or The Vampire Diaries. There are elements of those two in this first book. And it calls itself out on that, and I loved that. It was talking about how, weird and tropey that is. And, Jackson sends her a copy of Twilight in this book. In the first book. And I thought that was so funny. Way to call you out in such a great way. It was hilarious. But we get to this book, and it starts adding elements of the Hunger Games and Divergent, plus Twilight and the Vampire Diaries, plus trying to be its own thing. I feel like it added way too much of those kinds of things that I really enjoyed from the first book, and it just became too much. It was already a lot when it was, being the Vampire Diaries, while also being Twilight, while also being its own thing. That was fine. It was almost too much then. But you started adding more elements of other things in this one, And it just became too much for me. It just became too much for me. That's why I think I DNF'd it. Because, like, they have this thing... Spoilers, by the way, for this book. There are just too many things. Like, they have this thing where to become one of the members of the council, which the council is, like, the ruling body of the entire, like, supernatural world. There's a council, and to get on the council, the children of people on the council have to fight each other almost to the death in this thing to get their spot on the council. Very Hunger Games-like. Very, like, Divergent type stuff. Because they also get sorted into, like, teams. So it was very weird. And I didn't... It was just too much. On top of trying to handle other things, that whole plot line just kind of felt like it didn't need to be there. And it just started being kind of goofy. Like, it was goofy, but, like, in a way that I liked. It was a charming way of goofy. It wasn't too much. But now it was just goofy in a too much way. And it's for those reasons why I DNF'd Crush. And will I be reading Covet, the third book? No. I will not be reading the third book. I think I'm done with the Crave series here because, yeah, I don't think I can do the third book after getting halfway through this one. No. But again, I'm going to say this. Just because a book wasn't for me doesn't mean it's not going to be for you. Like, I totally recommend reading the first book, and if you feel like reading the second one, do it. I'm not gonna be this person that's gonna be like, what I say is the right thing. Just because you like it, ew. Like, there are people out there in the book communities that I've run into and had arguments with myself over things like buying your book secondhand, or DNFing a really popular book. I got in such an argument with someone over not wanting to read The Song of Achilles. Which is a super popular book, but I also hear it's really sad, and when I read, I don't want to be sad when I'm done reading. I have a sad enough life. I don't want to be sad when I'm reading. I read to escape the sadness that's going on in the world. You know what I mean? So why do I want sadness in my books? And someone said, well, and this person just wanted to keep arguing with me, and it was crazy. Life is too short to read books just because they're popular. I picked up Crave because I'm a huge fan of vampire books, as you can see. Like, here down is just vampire books. So, and I have everything from Twilight and its goofy ass, to Vampire Diaries and that goofiness, to Crave and that goofiness, which I still love the first book. I might reread the first Crave because I found that so great. But the second book, it was just too much trying to do it, all these other things from previous books while also still trying to manage its own thing, and it didn't work. So, that's all I got for you guys today. But what I read so far, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3 stars because familiar world that I loved, but just too much going on. So, I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and happy reading. Bye.